Welcome to Decoding the Keys to Health, a podcast dedicated to exploring health and wellness from a natural, holistic viewpoint. Join our host, esteemed nutritionist and New York Times bestselling author, Ann Louise Gittleman, along with James Templeton, a 35-year cancer survivor and the founder of Uni Key Health, as they share their more than 5 decades of combined experience. In each episode, these luminaries of alternative healing will unpack the complexities of today's most challenging health issues, providing you with science-backed insights and wisdom you can trust. Whether you're embarking on a health journey, seeking to enhance your wellness, or simply driven by curiosity, you've tuned into the right resource. And now, let's delve in and decode the keys to health with Ann Louise and James.
Hello, everyone. This is James Templeton, founder of Uni Key Health. It's great to be with you today, and welcome to Decoding the Keys to Health. And I'm here today with none other than the First Lady of Nutrition, Ann Louise Gittleman. Ann Louise, welcome. It's so good to be with you today.
It's so good to be with you and sharing our over 5 decades of nutritional wisdom of health and healing, because we've studied with the masters. You know what I've always said, James? Today we've got great marketers, but the masters are no longer with us. So God bless you, Dr. Hazel Parcells, Hannah Kroger, Bob Atkins, Nathan Pritikin, and Herman Bueno, the greatest parasitologist ever.
Yeah, God bless them all. I tell you, Ann Louise, we've been doing this for a long time. This is Uni Key's going on its 32nd year of business. Me and you kind of got Uni Key going back in 1992, and it was like something that we felt that was really needed, because we were working with clients, myself and you were working with many clients, and we're writing many books. And we were seeing these people that had all these different health issues. And after learning and studying with Dr. Hazel Parcells, at that time, she was over 100 years old when I met her. And I'd never seen anybody in that kind of shape and that sharp and with that much wisdom and that much experience. I couldn't believe it. I was at the foot of a master, and I knew that, and I just couldn't get enough of her information and wisdom. And I know that you studied with her in 1974, started studying with her. And, I never met anybody that knew as much as you did, even, and of course I was rather new to it at one point, because back in 1985, I was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma. And it's been 37 years ago this year. And, back then, I was just trying to figure out what was really going on and what I needed to do after being successful on a macrobiotic diet at that time and lifestyle. And when I met you, I couldn't believe the knowledge you had.
Well, how did we meet? Let's tell the story of how we met. So this was about 32 years ago. I was lecturing in the Berkshires, as I recall, and
you were lecturing.
Weekend lecture on parasites, and you came up to me and tell the story. You came up to me
and
asked me.
Parasites, were something that Ann Louise was spending the weekend lecturing to people.
My favorite topic.
She felt that it was so important that she wanted to give a 2-day class on this in a hotel ballroom, and my friend invited me to see her lecture and to go there with him. And we're there, and Ann Louise was very, very interesting. And she was talking about parasites and the issues that parasites could cause as far as one's health, and the underlying symptoms of parasites. As she mentioned, that parasites were one of the most immunosuppressive
agents known to man. I was quoting Dr. Parcells.
Yeah.
So let's repeat that. Parasites are the most immunosuppressive agents to man. So before you do anything else, the premier key to health is to eliminate parasites. And if you eliminate parasites, you can eliminate irritable bowel syndrome, joint and muscle aches and pains, anemia, skin conditions, allergy, autoimmune issues, anxiety, sleep disturbances, weight loss, weight gain. It's connected to everything under the sun, including issues that are far away from the digestive tract. So you came up to me during that lecture and said to me, "Do you think I have parasites?"
Well, I'd had cancer, so I I remember her saying that a lot of people that had cancer had parasites. And I went up to her and I said, look, I've had cancer. Do you think I have parasites? And she says, yes, I do. And I said, oh my God, how can you tell? She says, you just have that parasitic look.
Well, your skin color was a little off. It wasn't as lovely as it is today. It isn't as vital. It was kind of grayish green. You had circles under your eyes. And I said to you, I'm going to see the premier parasitologist in the world, Dr. Herman Bueno. Come with me to New York. And you agreed to. And that's when your life and your health changed.
Yes, I went to see Dr. Herman Bueno with Ann Louise, and I thought, my gosh, this is a great opportunity. I get to go with Ann Louise Gittleman to see Dr. Bueno. I went in to see Dr. Bueno, and he did a tissue swab test, which is a very interesting way of testing. And
it was an immediate test.
Yeah.
So you'd come in with this very, very charming doctor from Colombia who said, pull down your pants, Anna Luisa. He got very excited, charming and lovely,
Yeah.
and very, very elegant. And all you did was he took a tissue swab, and that in real time, you looked under the microscope and he identified all kinds of parasites from the tissue lining. Now, for you, he said something very interesting. Tell everybody what he shared with you.
Well, he told me right now, he says, my friend.
Mi amigo.
He goes, oh, my friend. He says, you are loaded with parasites.
So what did he find?
Well, after looking at the microscope, he had a teaching microscope, which was one of those double-sided microscopes with two lenses. He had me sit on one side and him on the other. And
so
he
you
says,
actually saw the...
Yeah, I did. I didn't know what I was looking at, but he told me, he says, oh, my friend, he says, you're loaded with parasites. He said, you have something called Giardia lamblia. And he says, that's the kind of parasite you get from drinking out of streams. Have you been up in the mountains? Have you drank out of streams? And I said, oh, yeah. Then he says,
you're a country boy.
He says, oh, my friend, you're loaded also with something called amoeba histolytica. And I'm like, what the heck is that? He goes, have you traveled to Mexico and other countries like that? And I said, oh, yeah.
Got sick.
He says, this is what most people pick up in third world countries. He said, even in this country, it's getting more prevalent. It's this, of course, you have to remember, this was 5+ years ago. So anyway, I'm sitting there, not 35, what was it?
1990 something.
Yeah, 32 plus years ago. And anyway, he says to me, he says, you also have something called Ascaris lumbricoides, and that's roundworms, common roundworms. Have you had pets, my friend? And I said, oh, yes, I've had pets. I've had dogs. I've had cats. I've had cattle. I've had hogs. And he says, well, they probably give you some of these Ascaris roundworms. So,
and then he knew that you had cancer. Tell us what did he say about cancer? This is important for all the listeners.
Yeah, he told me something very important that I'll never forget. He said, I have never seen a case of cancer or AIDS that didn't have some kind of parasitic involvement.
Right. And we don't know whether it was a causative factor or it was just some sort of opportunistic infection.
Yeah, we don't know, but there's a lot of people have been talking about this for years, about one of the underlying causes of possibly of cancer is a lowered immune system, of course, and parasites is one of the most immunosuppressive things you can have in your system. And it seems to be that just from some of the research I've seen, people with cancer seem to have more parasites and yeast and fungus and things like that are really affecting their ability on an immune level. So yeah, he went on to tell me that, and I started thinking about all the people I knew that had cancer, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they probably have parasites too if I do.
We wanted to deworm the world at that point.
And that's how Uni Key became to be.
It was based on the parasites.
Yes.
The parasite connection.
And Dr. Parcells once said, hey, if you don't get rid of the parasites, you can't, do a lot of other things. You can't absorb, you can't, all the vitamins and minerals that you do and take doesn't do near as much for you because you're not absorbing. And she says you got to clean up from the ground up, and that's getting rid of your parasites, getting rid of your yeast and candida in your system, getting rid of the heavy metals that we all have, and more than we know and more than we should have. And these are 3 things. There's other issues too, but these are kind of the most important things that people have to realize, that probably the majority of everyone that hears this has some kind of a parasite in their system. The first thing a veterinarian does when you take an animal to the vet is they look for parasites.
Yes, and what do farmers do? What do people do that grew up on farms do every spring?
Well, they
deworm.
Yeah, I don't know about if they deworm, but they deworm their animals.
They used to deworm their children years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised.
And the Europeans as well.
But the thing about it is that Dr. Parcells used to talk about this, and she did her own parasite cleanses, and that was kind of the first thing that she would do for most people, to eliminate all of that, the issues with the parasites. And then she could start to rebuild the person, and the person, as far as vitamins, minerals started to absorb, the amounts they needed.
So this really prompted you, you were a 4-stage cancer survivor, to create a series of products along with my assistance, and we created the 30-day parasite cleansing system. Why do you think this system is so different than anything else on the market? Because it certainly works better than anything on the market.
Well, we were some of the first ones out there.
We were the first. I can tell you. Well, I saw the copycats.
There was a few things out there. You helped develop some products for a company back then that I originally took because Dr. Bueno's products were too hard on me. They were very harsh. And he said back then, the drugs, he says, I could give you drugs. He was a medical doctor from Columbia. And he says, I can give you drugs, but he said the drugs don't work as well as the herbal formulas. And he had these herbal formulas that he wanted me to take. They were capsules, and I took them. He wanted me to take them for 2 to 3 months and then come back and see him. Well, I started taking these products, and I felt like somebody was hitting me over the head with a ball peen hammer. And it just like I had this throbbing headache, and it just didn't agree with me. And you told me back then, hey, try some of I hadn't known you very long, but you said, look, try these formulas, because I formulated these for a company and a couple of years back.
Oh, yes.
And I took those, and I felt really well back then. And I kept on these products for 3 months, the products that Ann Louise developed. And I just felt like a different person after 3 months. I started to gain weight. I was really thin. I couldn't gain weight. I started to have better digestion. I started to actually have more energy. I just felt better. I thought I felt okay at times, but I really started to feel really, really good. And I went back to see Dr. Bueno, and Dr. Bueno says, hey, he says, there's no signs of parasites in your system anymore. And he was very thorough with this blood testing that he did. Tissue swab testing. He was very, very good with it. And he said, you should be really good to go for a while. He says maybe once a year or so, you want to do another cleanse, because this could come back. You're going to be eating foods that are raw foods, especially that aren't cooked.
Lettuce, radishes.
Oh yeah, they're grown. They're out in the fields. There's different kinds of parasites and larvae on these vegetables, and especially on lettuce. And it's not washed properly, and if it is, it's not killing whatever's on there. And he says, you're probably going to need to do a parasite cleanse like most everybody else, at least once a year.
And I think now twice a year, quite frankly.
Probably. And the thing is that, but I started feeling so much better.
So what prompted you to create your own product?
Well, I knew that if I had this issue, then there was a lot of other people that had it. So I felt that, hey, maybe there's something I can do, about all this. So one night, during the night, I woke up with an idea of starting a company called Uni Key. And Uni Key would stand for the Universal Key to Health. And the universal key to health would be getting rid of the most prevalent things in the body that were affecting your immune system and getting to the ground, the root of all health issues. And I felt that that was going to be parasites because it had helped me so much. And then I had met Dr. Parcells by then, and she said, that parasites was the number one underlying cause of a lot of problems. So I wanted to develop my own products. So I started Uni Key, and we started selling parasite products, and we developed our own formulas. And we still have those formulas that have worked great for I don't know how many years now for people. And it just keeps on going since we developed these. And we have many, many testimonials of people that have done tremendous with this, and it's turned their health around. And this is just from what we hear from people, from our knowledge, what happened to me, what Ann Louise has learned over the years with all of her clients. And she wrote the book, Guess What Came to Dinner?
Parasites in Your Health.
What year was that?
1991.
In 1991. And it's still considered the Bible of parasites, of the best overall book written on parasites to date. Guess What Came to Dinner? Parasites in Your Health. And what you don't know about food can hurt you.
How true that is. But what I want to know, there's a lot of copycats on the market. So I want to know what makes your products different. I want you to talk particularly about Verma Plus.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have products, and I came out with some formulas way back. It's over 25 years ago. And these products are kind of have like a 1-2 punch. One is a tincture, and it's a liquid herbal tincture, and the other is a capsule formula.
So it gets rid of, because parasites you can dislodge. They can be in the tissue, they can be in the liver, they can be in the heart, they can be in the brain, they can be in the lymphatics, they can get stuck anywhere besides the GI tract. So this is good for wherever the parasites are lodging.
Yes. And you take the tinctures are taken between meals 2 times a day and before bed. And the capsules, the Parakey, is taking about 20 minutes or so before meals 3 times a day. And if you don't eat but 2 meals a day, you have a little snack and you have those products. But you take it for 2 weeks, and then you take a 5-day rest period.
And what I tell people these days is you can get on the program. It's 2 weeks on, 5 days off. 2 weeks on, 5 days off.
And the best time to start is around full moon, before and after the full moon.
Because they become more activated based on what all the herbalists have taught us, shared with us.
So these products have been tried and true and proven to help so many people over the years. And it's something that, why are they better? Because of the way they were formulated, and there's a lot of experience and wisdom behind these. Not a lot of people are talking about parasites, and they should be, because folks, if you have parasites, and most of you probably do, you're not going to get the results that you think you should get from a lot of things. There's no magic bullets out there, and as far as taking a product and it's going to do everything. But getting rid of parasites is going to turn your health around like you can't not imagine. Just think of an animal. Why would veterinarians be checking for parasites?
It's the number one thing.
Yeah, and if I had cattle, I used to have cattle, and the first thing you did every spring was you want to detoxify the parasites and deworm these cattle, because if you don't, they don't gain weight. They don't look healthy. Their coat doesn't look healthy. They don't absorb the minerals from the grass and the hay that they're eating, and dogs the same way. And why wouldn't you want to do it for a human? We're not any different than an animal. A lot of the dogs and animals are eating, off, and digging around in the earth. But a lot of humans are doing that too. And we're eating foods that are grown in the earth, and they are not detoxified of parasites.
I want you to explain, however, this is what I'm trying to get you to do, to tell me which ingredient in Verma makes it so outstanding.
Well, the Verma has got a lot of good, outstanding things. It's got black walnut in it. Black walnut is historically used to help expel parasites and intestinal waste. That's one of them. Wormwood also is in there, and it eliminates worms. This is from the historical perspective, and from many people using this over many generations. And it's got something in there that I think is a real key herb. It's called butternut. Butternut. And a lot of people have pinworms, especially children. Pinworms actually come out to, kind of roost, I guess you say, at night a lot. And a lot of people that have itchy bottoms, especially children, and that the worms can be found sometimes on the bed sheet. And
there used to be the Scotch tape test that I talk about, and guess what came to dinner that I learned
about. Tell them what
I don't remember exactly. But Leo Litter, God bless him, a Connecticut pediatrician, used to write about the Scotch tape test, in which around the full moon you actually put a little Scotch tape near the little child's rear end,
and then they find the pinworm.
Pinworms come out at night. Unbelievable. And doctors don't do that. That's if the kid has ADD, ADHD, and all kinds of issues. And see how much we've forgotten.
Yeah, I know. But see, also the Centauri is in there.
Well, that's what I wanted you to talk about. Because there's no other product under the sun that contains Centauri. And why is Centauri so important?
Centauri works so well because it releases the suckers and hooks of the hookworm and the tapeworm from the intestinal walls,
and the flukes. People see flukes when they,
because it must make them just so nauseous that they release, and it
relaxes them.
And because they're all going to end up coming through your digestive tract and through your bowels.
But people actually see something with this. No, it's very bitter. Tell everybody how bitter it is.
Well,
I love it, but it's very bitter.
Verma Plus is bitter. It doesn't seem so bitter to me, but you just put it in 2 to 3 ounces of water.
Well, bitter is better for the liver.
And you drink it. It's not bad. Yeah, it's really good. And of course, the Parakey is a wonderful product too. And it's a capsule, so you just drink a lot of water with
That's good for the babies, the microscopic. That's for the amoeba, the giardia, the cryptosporidium, and the glycospore.
And we've got a little bit in both, so that if somebody's taking one and they have the other two, it'll help, expel these critters, hopefully, so out of their system. And that's the whole idea, and that's what people tell us. And, it's just, there's so many people out there that are trying to lose weight, trying to have more energy.
Or even gain weight.
Sleep through the night. Or gain weight. But it's all about their metabolism's off because they're not absorbing. And it's so important. And a lot of people lose a lot of weight when they get rid of parasites. We had a
lot of people gain weight. We've had people that can't gain weight until they get rid of
parasites. We've had that. Well, I was like that.
You were skinny.
I was very skinny. And, the thing about it is, a few years ago, we had a woman that lost 100 pounds after she went on our parasite cleanse for like 3 months. And she lost unbelievable amounts of weight, like 100 pounds. And it was an amazing story that ended up in a national magazine.
Oh, that was in around 2006.
And it was amazing.
Parasites are making you fat article?
Yes. And it was an amazing
changed your life.
Yes, and we've had a lot of people like that, but it's such an important thing. I can't tell you how important it is to
eliminate the parasites. Where can people get the formulas?
Well, they can get them from Uni Key, unikeyhealth.com. And it's it's not a new product like a lot of the people out there now. These people out there that have products that are maybe they've been doing it for 2 or 3 years or whatever, but we've got a lot of testimonials, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of experience behind this. Ann Louise wrote the book. This is like very important. I think that everybody should check out doing a parasite cleanse of some sort.
So in our introductory decoding the keys to health, to unpack the first key to health, everybody should do a parasite cleanse. That's the first key to health.
It is.
And because parasites are known as the gray masqueraders. In your experience, what else do they masquerade as we leave our wonderful listening audience? They can masquerade as irritable bowel syndrome.
They can masquerade as fibromyalgia, aches and pains,
rheumatoid arthritis,
yes.
depression, anxiety, irritability, sleeplessness.
Yeah. Mostly it's just digestive issues, a lot of discomfort every time you eat.
Constipation or diarrhea or intermittent constipation and diarrhea.
70 to 80% of your immune system has to do with your gut health. Now, how strong could your immune system be if you have parasites in your system? And if your body is strong and it has a lot of if you're eating a good diet and you're absorbing the way you should on a large level, the parasites don't want to stick around in that kind of a body. It's not a good environment.
I so agree with you. So what I tell people to do now is to take the parasite cleanse twice a year. I like it at the beginning of the year and the middle of the year. And then every day from there on in, during the full moon, the 5-day full moon window, 2 days before the full moon, 2 days after, you do a little revisiting of the Para-Key, Verma Plus, and our Flora-Key. And that way you can say, adios, amoebas.
Don't you think it's at first it's a 2 or 3 month or more sometimes for some people?
It actually can be. So they actually need 2 kids to start if they've had long-standing problems.
And these products are gentle but very effective for most people. So I like to say that it's not going to make you really feel sick. It's just something that seems to really work, and it's a wonderful thing to do for yourself, and I don't think you'll be sorry.
And call 1-800-888-4353 if you have questions. We've got professional nutritionists standing by. So one more time, let's wish everybody an adios
amoebas.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Have a good, healthy day.